Samsung might have been planning to shift completely to its in-house Exynos chips for future flagship phones, but things are changing. And now, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 is looking like the perfect processor for the upcoming Galaxy S26 series. The Galaxy S26 was expected to launch with Samsung's new Exynos 2600 chipset. That's been the plan. Samsung has been working hard to move away from Qualcomm's Snapdragon processors. But now, a new development is turning the tables once again. According to recent reports, Qualcomm may not be increasing the price of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2. Even if there is a price bump, it's expected to be minor, not enough to affect the final pricing of phones that use the chip. That's a big deal. Up until now, one of the biggest reasons Samsung was pushing the Exynos 2600 was the rumored price hike of Qualcomm's latest chip. Multiple reports after the Galaxy S25 launch had warned that the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 could cost much more than its predecessor. That kind of price increase would have forced Samsung to raise the prices of its Galaxy S26 phones too, something the company clearly wants to avoid. Why? Because Samsung is trying to stay competitive with Apple. If Galaxy S26 prices go up too much, they could lose buyers to the iPhone 17 lineup, which is also going to be expensive but may offer more performance and ecosystem advantages. So this news about the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 staying affordable is likely a huge relief for Samsung. If the Exynos 2600 isn't ready in time or doesn't perform well enough, Samsung now has a strong and cost-effective backup option in Snapdragon, and let's be honest, many users already prefer Snapdragon chips. There's been a long-standing debate between Exynos and Snapdragon, and in most comparisons, Snapdragon has consistently outperformed its Exynos counterparts in efficiency, heat control, and battery management. This user preference was highlighted again in a recent poll, where over 76% of users said they would prefer the Galaxy S26 to come with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 instead of the Exynos 2600. Less than 5% picked Exynos as their first choice. Clearly, public opinion is leaning in one direction, but Samsung is not giving up on Exynos. The company has been working hard to fix the yield issues and performance gaps. Its 3nm manufacturing process has finally stabilized, and work on the new 2nm process is underway. If everything goes smoothly, the Exynos 2600 might be ready in time for the Galaxy S26 release. However, that's a big if. Manufacturing chips at 2nm is incredibly complex and expensive. And delays are not uncommon, so if Samsung hits a roadblock, they don't need to panic. Thanks to Qualcomm's steady pricing, they can once again rely on Snapdragon, just like they did for many regions with the Galaxy S25. At the same time, Apple is facing its own challenges. The iPhone 17 will reportedly use 3nm chips made by TSMC, and future iPhones are expected to transition to 2nm chips as well. But political and economic pressures are creating problems. With Donald Trump's potential return to the presidency, there are renewed discussions about tariffs and a push for American-made iPhones. That could cause major disruptions in Apple's supply chain and lead to increased costs. In that scenario, even if Samsung ends up using a more expensive chip like the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2, their phone prices might still match or even undercut Apple's pricing. So in the end, Samsung has gained flexibility. Whether Exynos 2600 is ready or not, they now have two viable paths forward, one that doesn't compromise on price or performance. Still, this situation highlights a bigger issue. No matter which chip is used or which company faces delays or price hikes, it's always the consumer who ends up paying the price. Whether it's higher phone costs, reduced availability, or uneven performance, users are the ones who have to deal with the consequences. That said, the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 now looks like the safest bet for Samsung, not just in terms of performance, but also cost control, user trust, and supply reliability. For now, all eyes are on the development of the Exynos 2600 and how ready it will be in the next few months. But at least Samsung now knows, if things go wrong, they've got a solid backup plan.